Hey, today's stories are pretty dark and weird, almost hard to believe. Let's get into it. So, there's this guy who found out something pretty shocking about his family. He always thought his older sister was just his sister, but it turns out she's actually his half-sister via their mom. His mom had been married before and had his sister with her first husband. This guy was a monster. He raped his sister when she was just 2 or 3 years old. The mom caught him in the act, but no one believed her, and from what he was told, his sister was really fucked up. So, the mom divorced him, and he tried to get custody of the sister. To protect her, the mom ran away, even cutting contact with her own family to keep her safe. A few years later, she met his dad, who unofficially adopted the sister, and they had him. He grew up not knowing the truth, because his sister thought he might not love her the same if he knew they had different dads, and maybe she just wanted to forget that her stepdad wasn't really her biological dad. The only reason he found out, when he was 20, was because somehow his sister's biological grandmother found his mom's address and called. He answered the phone, and she mistook him for his sister. This next story starts out like a fun childhood memory, but takes a dark turn. When this guy was 7, his parents took him to Disneyland for his birthday. Everything was going great. They had an awesome time at the park for a couple of days. But then, things got weird. His parents started taking phone calls and sounded really stressed. They kept telling him nothing was wrong and that everything was okay. Eventually, they flew home, but instead of going straight home, they surprised him by taking him to a big water park for a couple of extra days. He didn't think much of it and just enjoyed his birthday. It wasn't until 10 years later that his parents finally told him the truth. On his 7th birthday, his uncle, his dad's brother, tried to kill himself. He shot himself in the stomach with a rifle. The guy was poor, addicted to drugs, and felt depressed because his dad had the life he always wanted. Thankfully, the uncle ended up living, but the parents took him to the water park to avoid coming home to the hospital situation. By not telling him, they let him keep his birthday as his special day, not the day his uncle tried to die. He realized that knowing how a 7-year-old's brain works, he probably would have thought he had something to do with it. This next one's about finding out a family secret way too late. So, this guy finds out when he's about 32 that, back in 1973, his dad had a daughter he never knew existed. He found out because his dad texted him while he was working, after learning about it himself just a week earlier. By then, she was in her late 40s. What makes this tragic is that all this time, they thought he was his dad's only kid. And his dad always wanted a daughter, but never got one because of his marriage's ending. He would have fucking loved this girl. She was the result of a one-night stand with a girl his dad never talked to again. According to his daughter, the mother had a mental breakdown shortly after giving birth and never had custody of the daughter. His dad never would have had any way to find out. The baby grew up with the mother's parents in another state, and the mother kinda went AWOL. This story is wild and pretty dark. So, there's this super wealthy uncle who was losing his mind to Alzheimer's. Before he got too far gone, he made a deal with his wife that when things got to the point where he'd have to go into a nursing home, she would kill him instead. He even wrote all of this in a letter and gave it to their estate attorney. When the time came, instead of doing it in a more peaceful way, she chose to shoot head. This led to a huge trial with a lot of news coverage, especially when the lawyer brought the letter into court. In the end, the aunt served about 2 years and got released on parole. Alright, let's end on a lighter note. So, this person was in their early 20s when they found an old family photo of someone they didn't recognize. When they asked their mom about it, she casually said, "Oh, that's your Aunt Gloria." Then she lowered her voice, even though they were alone, and added, "She's a nudist." It wasn't a big deal or anything, but everyone in the family acted like it was some dark secret. Poor Aunt Gloria just wants to be a nudie lady, but the family treats her like she's a leper. That's it for today. some crazy family stories that show how strange life can be. If you have your own wild tales, share them in the comments. I might feature them in my next video. Thanks for watching.